morning, my fellow extraterrestrials. So I decided I was going to go ahead and do this one and get this one out of the way too, because I'm trying to get these caught up and I want to move on to my usual subject matters. This was the other one that I had done for Valentine's Day, so another love-themed one, love-focused one. This one is about whether or not you can love somebody before you've met them, whether or not you can dream of someone and love that someone without ever having even met them. And so it's a dream love based blog, and I think it's possible to love someone before meeting them without ever even having heard of them, not just having not met the person, but not even knowing they exist, but to dream of someone whom you don't even know if it's a real person or not. It's just somebody in your dreams. Maybe you have recurring dreams of the same person, but it's a person you don't even know. And who knows, maybe one day you'll meet that person. But anyway, so when I wrote this blog, it's because actually I've had dreams in which I've met different people. So sometimes you dream about someone and you can be really angry at them, right? And have an argument, even with people you already know. You can, if you're like me, anyway, you can have an argument with someone in your dream and wake up and still have those feelings, right? You know it was a dream. When you wake up, you know that didn't actually happen. That argument didn't happen. There's no real reason for you to be mad at that person. But, I've actually had to apologize to people and say, I'm sorry, I'm mad at you right now. I can't talk to you at the moment because we had an argument in my dream last night and I'm still mad about it. And I know you didn't do anything, so I don't want to be mean to you because of something that dream you said to me. So, maybe I'm just a little weird. If you've ever dreamt that you've had an argument with someone and then we're still mad at them, even though you figured out that, no, that was just a dream, then you know what I'm talking about. You know that the feelings can be real, even if they come from something that happened in a dream. So that's more or less the argument I'm presenting in this blog, that even if it's a dream, and even if the person is someone you've never met and you don't even know exists, but you see this person in reoccurring dreams, you dream about this person all the time, those feelings can still be real because, you can't help how you feel. Feelings happen. And just sometimes when we dream, we can, if you've ever had a dream where you've had something to eat that maybe you've never tried before, but you've been wanting to try, and then you dream about it, but you can swear you taste it, and when you wake up, you can remember what it tastes like. It's kind of like that, because feelings and emotions and all of our senses, really, they happen in the brain. So they're very much real, even if it's from a dream, even if it's something that occurred because of a dream. So it's honestly amusing to me how real imagination can be, how real fantasy can be, and how real dream can be. Because, again, I think we put too much stock in the word real. Real, the actual definition of it, tends to refer to the tangible. What is tangible? Tangible only refers to the one sense, the sense of touch. So, what about the other senses? And when it comes to perception, perception happens in the brain. All of our senses and our perception, it all occurs in the brain. So it is very much real. So yes, I do believe that, especially if it's always the same person, and it doesn't matter if even if this is someone that turns out not to be real, you never meet this person in real life, they were never real to begin with, someone you completely imagined, I still think it is possible. And I know that kind of goes into a territory of psychology that maybe some of us don't really want to explore. That being like the delusional psychology, and because psychology is one of those things that doesn't usually have such a positive vibe to it. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. A lot of times when we're talking about psychology and things like that, we're looking at things like mental health and delusions and that sort of thing, trying to understand human behaviors and emotions and such. And throughout history, there have been instances of human psychology messing with people, messing with their lives, people believing something so strongly that it manifests in a way. We know psychology can have physical manifestations on the body even. You can make yourself sick. If you believe you are sick, you can make yourself sick. So psychology is one of those subjects that I often try to avoid despite having a BS in BS, as I put it. My bachelor's of science is actually a bachelor's of science in abnormal psychology, mental illness. So a BS in BS, because psychology, that to me is closer to a pseudoscience than some of what scientists consider the pseudosciences, because really it is a continual study of human behavior and human nature and observations and correlations that we're constantly trying to understand, but you can't really diagnose, and you can't have 100% accuracy or proof of anything, because it's psychology, it's the human mind. It's way beyond our understanding. But that being said, there has been enough study and observation into it to know that a lot of what we think, what we feel, what we perceive, we can manifest in one form or another. That doesn't necessarily make something like a dream love healthy or unhealthy. If it's not bothering anybody, I would argue that if you're happy and it's not a problem for your psychology or your health or anybody around you, you're not a danger to yourself or others, and it's not interfering with you living your life, I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's an issue that you conjure up some love of your life in your dreams. It's fine. You do you. I am not the person that's going to judge when it comes to something like that. The idea behind this blog, though, was more or less to offer some sort of validity to the feelings that some people, it feels like you're making an argument, right? I've heard people tell their love stories and they feel like they have to keep reiterating that they knew that this person was who they were going to marry. They loved this person before they ever even met them. I've heard people tell stories, like usually old people. Old people have the best love stories, but I've heard them tell it in such a way that it almost feels like they're trying to convince you, because they don't think you believe them, that they actually dreamed about this person before they met them, that there was a person who kept appearing in their dreams. And and the reason being is because scientists are all the time trying to tell them that they're crazy, or that no, that's not how it works. You can't, you can't have psychic visions, and you can't know who you're going to love, and you can't have these things. You don't dream about a person before you meet them. You were just having dreams, and then you met this person, and then your memory put this person into your dreams. That's what scientists will try to tell you, that you retrofitted your memories of your dreams to this person after you met them. And I don't believe that. I mean, maybe in some cases, but I don't believe that is the case for all the time. I'm sure there's an argument to be made for that, but I don't think that that's what's always going on. I do think it's entirely possible to dream about someone that you've never even heard of, that no one's told you about, you've never seen on the television, you've never read in a book anywhere. Like, you have no way of knowing that this person exists in the world, but you're dreaming about them regularly, maybe even every night, and then you meet them, and that is the person. Like, I honestly think that you can develop those feelings for that person long before you actually meet them. And that is because I think, you know, you're kind of spending time with this person in a way, right? You're, in your dreams, you're spending time with them. And although one can make the argument that you're not really spending time with them, you haven't really met them, you don't really know anything about them from your dreams, but some of what I've heard, some of the stories that I've heard, again, mostly from old people, but hey, old people are great. And just because they're telling stories doesn't mean that these stories aren't real. I don't think that they're, like, exaggerating or embellishing anywhere. I think, at the very least, they genuinely believe it. And when you've got people who have been married for over 50 years telling you that they are still that much in love with each other, like, I listen to that, okay? That's like the best romance stories ever from the elderly. These ones that have been married for longer than I've been alive. So, I mean, I can't imagine it. Me personally, I can't imagine spending that much time. I mean, not just that much of your life with another person, but having that same person, like, living in your house with you. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. That's why I like listening to their stories. And when you've got these people telling you that they had dreamed about this person, and then the other person's like, and I dreamed about them too, and we didn't know we were dreaming about each other until we met. Like, I'm sorry. This isn't even like a one-time occurrence. It's not like I've only heard one of these stories. It feels like this used to be a regular thing. Are we not still dreaming about the love of our lives? Like, does that not happen anymore? Because, honestly, I don't know. I think there might be something to it. Especially if, like I've said in the previous blogs and vlogs, if we do have soulmates who, in every life, find us, reoccurring cycles, I don't know, maybe we're dreaming about them until we find them. Maybe we're dreaming about them to guide us to them in this life. Either way, I do think it's possible. I do think that you can dream about someone, and you can be either dreaming about the person who is your soulmate out there in the world somewhere, or maybe you're dreaming about someone who you're going to meet, because, you know, scientists do study the potential for, like, premonitions and that sort of thing, because, hey, there's all sorts of evidence that we could potentially subconsciously somehow view into the future and this, that, and the other. That's a whole separate thing. But let's say that that's the case. For the sake of this argument, let's say that we are dreaming about someone that we are going to meet. I don't like the idea that everything is set in stone. I don't like the idea, I mean, like, fate sounds okay. Fate sounds somewhat romantic, I guess. But I don't like the idea that we don't have choice. That's my biggest issue with it. I don't like the idea that whatever's going to happen is going to happen and there's nothing we can do about it. That bothers me a little bit, because I like the idea that we carve our own fate, that we make our own choices, and that it does matter. And so I like the idea that not everything's set in stone. But perhaps, based on the choices we've made throughout our lives thus far, a certain path is laid before us that we have created of our own doing, and our brain can determine what path we've created, where that path goes. Our brain can figure out, because we've done this, this, and this is the path that we're going down, and our brain can somehow get a glimpse of the future for us. It can determine that we're going to meet certain people. I don't know. Maybe there is an Akashic record. Maybe there's a greatest overall collective consciousness that we're all tapping into in our sleep. And somehow we know that we're going to meet that person. And so we're dreaming about that person before it happens. Well, just like if you spend enough time outside of dreams with somebody, you grow an attachment to them. Maybe you can grow an attachment to someone who you're dreaming about all the time, who you've not yet met. So, could work that way. I could see that. But for just another argument here, let's say you're dreaming about a person and you don't necessarily have to be dreaming about like any specific person. This doesn't have to be someone like your soulmate or someone you're going to meet. Let's say you're dreaming about a person, but you don't know who this person is. You have no clue. Like maybe in your dreams you don't even see their face. There's just somebody there. Because I have dreams like that. There's somebody there. No clue what this person looks like. Can't remember the sound of their voice. Can't remember much about them. I just know that it's the same person. It's that feeling. I don't know how I know. But I know. It's the same person. And it's like in my dreams I recognize this person. In my dreams I know who this person is. But when I wake up I'm like, who the heck do I keep dreaming about? Because I have no clue what this person looks like or sounds like. I don't remember this person's name. The only thing I remember is that I keep dreaming about like, and it's not even specifically about that person. It's more like the same person is with me in every dream, no matter where I go or what I do, the same person is there. So like I've often thought about, well, am I dreaming about my twin brother? Who am I dreaming about? Who is there? Because then I wake up and I can't remember anything about this person. So like maybe you have reoccurring dreams like that where you're dreaming about someone and you know, once you're in your dream, in your sleep, you know that this person is the same person you've been dreaming about. You recognize them in your dream, but then once you wake up, you forget who it is. You don't know who it is. Well, what if that's a placeholder? Like, what if the reason you can't remember who that person is, you don't know their name or their face or anything like that, is because you're dreaming about someone who you haven't yet met, so you don't know who it is, but you know what it's going to feel like. You know the energies it's going to match. Or maybe it doesn't even have to be to a specific person, just someone who makes you feel this way. Like, this is how you're going to know. Maybe it's like a hint. This is how you're going to know who your person is, because it's going to feel like this person that you're dreaming about in your sleep. In which case, again, those feelings are valid. So you wake up, you have these feelings, you're like, if I feel this for a person, the way that I feel in my dream about this person, I don't know who this person is, but if I ever feel this for someone I meet in real life, that's going to be my person, then yeah, you have a dream love out there somewhere. Someone who makes you feel the same as that person that you dream about on the regular. At least that would be my argument for it. I hope I'm explaining this in a halfway reasonable manner. Dreams are difficult, and sometimes explaining the metaphysics and subconscious stuff is also just, it's a nightmare. We don't understand enough about the human subconscious. We don't have the terminology for it. So, and really we don't have the understanding even of the tangible world, let alone all of the other feelings and sensations and the things that we can't apply a physical mechanism for. So, really, dream science, as it were, if you want to call it that, well, I think that's still also considered a pseudoscience, but I do know that there's still actual studies made into it. Why? Because people want to know. We want to know what it means. We want to know if there is something to it. And part of the reason people want to know is because of the phenomenon where people do dream about something, and maybe they dream about it regularly, and maybe it increases in frequency as they get closer to the event, and then the event that they were dreaming about actually does happen. So there's at least correlations, there's stories, there's science, there's reasonable evidence, maybe not tangible or what's considered tangible and what's considered substantial, but there's a reasonable amount of evidence and a reasonable argument to be made here that you can have dreams that maybe are giving you hints to your future. You can have premonitions. So yeah, maybe you can dream about your soulmate or the person who you're going to meet one day and fall in love with. Maybe you can dream about your future. If you are dreaming about the same person, and if you have those strong enough feelings, let's say that, like, if you have strong enough feelings for someone, that person has your heart, right? There's no room in your heart for anybody else. Like, you can't feel that way about anybody else because all those feelings go towards the person that already has those feelings. So, theoretically, can you be in love with someone you've never met? Can you be in love with a dream someone you dream about? And can your heart belong to that person? Like, is there no room in your heart for other people? Well, I would still say yes. I would still say, because those feelings are real. Those feelings are legit. Even if they're for someone that you haven't met yet, or someone that maybe doesn't even exist. Some people, I think, I hate to say it, because again, now we're in psychology territory again, and potential delusion territory, and it may not be as harmless as what I was speaking of before, but some people, I believe, actually do develop those sorts of feelings for, like, fictional characters. There's a category of subject matter I really don't want to get into all that much, but some people, they can develop really strong feelings for, I guess you could say, ideas, because they're fictional characters, right? So they're an idea. So it would be that individual's idea of what this character is, who this person is. It's not even an actual person, it's a fictional character. But the feelings can be there and can be strong enough, I guess you could say, to cause a problem. I suppose whether or not it's a problem depends on whether or not it interferes with that person's functionality or grasp on reality. Some people get very defensive about fictional characters. They can pick fights and arguments with others over it, and it just maybe overall isn't a good thing. And that's the only argument I'm going to make on that, because that's, like I said, that's really an entirely separate thing. That's not even remotely close to what I'm talking about. I am talking about a healthy, probably common phenomenon. And I say probably common because I feel like it's one of those things that's maybe not spoken about as much. And the fact that it's spoken about quite a bit, but still maybe not spoken about as much as what I think is actually going on. Like, I feel like some people don't want to admit to having that sort of dream, that they are dreaming about the same person and they have no idea who it is. Like, maybe some people think they're losing their marbles over it, or they don't want other people to think they're delusional. But I do think that it's a rather common thing. I think people dream about all sorts of things. Maybe they don't really remember them, but I think people dream about all sorts of things that they haven't experienced yet. I think they have prophetic dreams, and some of those prophetic dreams are of not only events that are going to happen to us at some point, but of people we are going to meet who we have not yet met. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be like our future romantic partner. It could be about anybody. But there you have it. Now, obviously, this isn't my forte. Love in general is not my forte. Dreams and subconscious stuff, yeah, maybe a little bit. I like the metaphysics, and I like the aspects of that. I like the human consciousness and exploring that. Not all the time, not in every video. I would rather not. There's quite a lot of other subject matters. That's why I'm trying to get these videos done and out of the way, so I can just be done with them and go back to covering the stuff I usually cover. Plus, I'm not really a romantic person. To me, all of it's cringe. I just go, ugh, mushy stuff. Anyway, but again, I'm a better writer than I am a speaker. And especially when it comes to subject matters that I don't particularly care for anyway, and I'm just trying to get through them. So if you want to know more about, like, any of these subject matters, really, not just whether or not it's possible to love someone and dream about them before having met them, but also, you know, about the subconscious things. I do have a lot of blogs on human consciousness and subconscious stuff, and about compatibility, about the energies we give off of one another, just all sorts of subject matters. I cover all sorts of subject matters. At this point, my intention was to primarily focus on things like ancient history and the fun stuff that I like, but seeing as how I keep getting pulled into these fringe things, and sometimes even my own brain goes down a rabbit hole somewhere, and I have a thought that leads to a blog that leads to one of these videos. So there's this whole collection now of love-themed, compatibility-focused. So if this is something that you're interested in and want to know more about, and the science of horoscopes and that sort of thing as well, check out my blog, check out the other videos. At this point, I'm making a playlist just for this subject matter. So in the meantime, stay extra, my fellow terrestrials.